YouTube! Do you like big, hulking, sweaty men swinging their hammer around like a Ron Jeremy film in the 80s? Well, do I have a game for you? Yes! This is Space Marine 2, a Dimbag Dimes official review. So, I'm going to start this off by saying I've never played a Warhammer 40K game ever previous to this. After seeing the trailer about 3 years ago, I was pretty much sold right off the rip. The only thing is I kind of expected this game to be like a Gears of War or a COD Zombies type game. Well, admittedly, I was fucking wrong. This game is much more than a Gears knockoff. From bone-crushing and gory animations to an environment that lives and breathes around you as you go mission to mission, Space Marine 2 is a spectacle, to say the least, even if some of the close-up in-game cutscenes are a little stiff and ugly. But that's quickly forgotten by its immaculate surrounding world. The devs do such a fantastic job immersing you in this ongoing war with visuals alone. It's incredible and even fucking impressive. There's a few things I want to say as a disclaimer before we start. If you're looking for the next innovative game with brand new ideas and mechanics, just turn around now. This isn't that game. If you're looking for a game that just wants to be a game, that's what Space Marine 2 is about. The dev team hits the nail on the head with the feeling of being a badass supermarine and immersing you in this Warhammer universe. Even if you aren't a 40K super nerd, I didn't know anything coming in and I feel as if I didn't fucking need to, even though I'm sure it helps. Space Marine 2 suffers from some content issues, or rather, lack thereof. With that said, the devs, prior to release, put out a year one roadmap with a ton of content coming. So let's just hope they can stick to it, yeah? Let's get into the nitty gritty. And of course, starting with gameplay. And if you've seen the trailers, you know exactly what you're going to be getting yourself into. You'll be slicing into enemy tyrannoids, turning dozens of them into nothing but spilled guts with every looping swing of your melee weapon. But the combat is much more than just swinging your weapon around like my Uncle Ben at our yearly family reunion. Once you come across your first medium-sized enemy, you're met with a parry and dodge mechanic. This will play a huge role in the overall gameplay flow. You'll see a blue light indicator pop up, and that's your indication that you need to parry. Then, you'll see a red light indicator indicating you need to dodge. If you can pull these maneuvers off, it opens the enemy up for a brutal counter shot. Once you can do enough damage to these enemies, they'll flash red. You'll be prompted to do an execution animation, similar to how Doom works. Each execution being more brutal and disgusting than the last. Also, counter shots and executions don't just serve as a gross way to dismember your ops.
It's annoying.
It also serves as a way to patch your armor. Depending on the enemy and the execution is how many bars of armor you're going to patch up. You also have ranged weapons like rifles, snipers, handguns, plasma weapons. But other than some select few weapons, these are just tools to disperse enemies as you close the distance, or to deal some tick damage to medium enemies. There's also grenades, which are used in various ways, such as shock grenades to slow down enemies, or frag grenades to deal massive AoE damage to packs of enemies before getting overwhelmed. To summarize the gameplay, it's fucking brutal, it's fun, and it holds nothing back. The gameplay knows exactly what it wants to be, and it does it well. And just to be clear, this game overall is very repetitive. You'll be doing the same 6 missions, chopping up enemies every few seconds, dodging and parrying, rinse and repeat. But the thing is, repetitive isn't a bad thing here, because the gameplay is the real star of the show here, and it carries the entire experience. Now, moving on to the game modes. There's 3 of them. The first you'll come across is the campaign. And no worries, no spoilers, I'm not an asshole. You'll be playing through the campaign as Titus, a badass supermarine who's reinstated as a supermarine following the events of the previous game. Titus is tasked with finding out why the tyrannoids are launching this attack, and most importantly, to stop it. Now, I won't say too much because the story is short. It's about 8 to 12 hours depending on the difficulty you play on. but I just want to emphasize how well the game does with world building. As you go on your missions, you'll literally see thousands of tyrannoids on screen scattering through the world, thousands of gargoyles flying through the sky, a world riddled with war, fire, and chaos.
We're here to kill chaos.
And I know I said it earlier, but I just can't give Space Marine 2 enough credit for how well they made these worlds. It's stunning. But I do have one complaint about the campaign, maybe two. Early on, it feels very repetitive and can even get a little stale, but once you hit about the 2-3 hour mark, the game picks up immensely. But now I'm tiptoeing around spoilers, so I won't say much more. Also, it's pretty obvious that the game is meant to be played co-op. There are several scenarios in the campaign where the tyrannoids are swarming in from 3 separate points and they want each marine at each location. But since the AI is pretty dumb, they don't do that, so defending objectives can be kind of frustrating. But to be honest, none of this really took away from the overall enjoyment of the game. On to operations. This is where you get peak Space Marine 2. You're no longer locked behind Titus. Instead, you choose one of 6 classes, each coming with their own unique loadout and ability. You have a tactical unit that comes equipped with a beacon that scans enemies through walls, and scanned enemies take increased damage. A sniper class that uses an invisible cloak, and a sniper to sneak behind enemy lines. An assault class that uses a jetpack to fly in the sky to rain down on enemies from above, or slam the ground with your melee weapon to do AoE damage. A vanguard class that uses a grappling hook to get in and out of trouble. Also can be used on enemies to kick their fucking head in and deal massive damage. A bulwark class that uses a sword and shield but has no primary ranged weapon. Instead, they just have a pistol, but their ability allows them to place a banner in the floor, healing armor over time to themselves and nearby allies. The last class is the heavy class, which is basically a tank class with a machine gun and no melee weapon. This class ability is a bubble shield that will block all incoming damage. When setting out on your mission, your squad will be restricted to using only one class per squad. In other words, you can't stack a bulwark to get infinite heals. Rather, each squad member's class should be used as a tool to work for the common goal of finishing the mission. The operations take place during the campaign, but as the other Supermarines Titus was working with during the campaign, sort of like a Squad A or Squad B type deal. Currently, there are 6 operation missions with 4 difficulty options for each. After completing a mission, you'll be rewarded with XP, both for the class and the weapons you're using. You can use this XP for upgrades and cosmetics. After using the XP to upgrade, you'll be able to add perks to your weapon and class to make your Space Marine stronger. Things like getting health after an execution or 5% more melee damage. And you should level up before attempting any of the more difficult missions. In fact, the game gives you a recommended level before attempting any of the harder missions. The only negative that I have to say, like I said earlier, is the lack of content and there only being 6 missions to do. But like I said earlier, there's a year 1 roadmap plan, so let's just hope they stick to it, yeah? Now, on to the multiplayer PvP. There's 3 game modes. There's TDM, or Team Deathmatch, a headquarters type game mode where you try to capture a point that changes every 90 seconds or so, a domination mode where you try and capture and hold 3 points throughout the map. The different variation of classes make for a great multiplayer experience. For these matches, you'll gain XP to unlock new weapons, new cosmetics, and such for your Space Marine and the class you're playing. Overall, I found the PvP to be pretty fun, though frustrating at times with some of the classes being a bit more overpowered. Or I just suck. The only thing I wish for in any competitive type shooter is for there to be a ranked mode. I think that makes any multiplayer shooter far more engaging. So in conclusion, this game is fucking sick, to say the least. It's rare a game today doesn't just feel like a greedy money grab. Instead, this game makes you feel like a complete Chad. A badass. While the gameplay can feel a bit repetitive at times, that's quickly dealt with by giving you different classes and weapons to play with that change how each mission can be played and dealt with. If you're just a good game enjoyer like myself, I think you'll appreciate Space Marine 2 as well. So to answer your question, is Space Marine 2 worth it or not? The answer is an astounding abso-fucking-lutely. And with that, I want to say thank you for watching. And if you like this video, hit that like, hit that sub, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.